Hey guys! So, I know that a lot of you are probably new to this channel and I wanted to say a quick hello! My name is Katie and thank you for joining us. Once upon a time on this channel, I used to have this series called Coffee Talk where I would literally roll out of bed, grab a cup of coffee, sit in front of the camera, and just talk about whatever was on my mind. I thought I would bring back Coffee Talk. It used to be a weekly thing. I thought a Q&A would be appropriate simply because so many of you are new and you probably have no idea who I am. So a brief overview is my name is Katie. I'm 21. I live in Las Vegas with my husband. We like to make videos and stuff. So I hopped on Instagram and Twitter today and I basically asked you guys to ask me questions. If you had any questions whatsoever regarding anything about my life, this was the opportunity for you to ask. This is actually my second time filming this video today because I had coffee this morning and for whatever reason, I think it was like a really strong brew or something and I was like kind of jittery and bouncing all over the place, and I watched the footage back and it was totally not even coherent. So I wanted to do it again. So instead of drinking coffee for this, I actually have a green smoothie that is almost gone. Yeah, anyway, I'm gonna jump right into the questions.
How did you and Blake meet? Do you plan on getting a job, more pets, kids?
So as for how me and Blake met, you can actually click on this video right over here where I talk about it a little bit more, but the abridged version is we met in kindergarten. We didn't really actually start talking until after we graduated high school. As for a job, I actually have a job. I know that if you guys watch the vlog channel, which is always linked in the description bar below, it may not look like I work or have a job because I'm at home all the time, but I actually work from home. If you guys have ever watched the show Mad Men, imagine the cast of Mad Men on a social website, a social platform that connects all of these people from all over the world to each other to talk about which agencies have which accounts, who the contacts are at that agency for that specific account. My title is actually junior researcher and I pretty much just cross-check all that information to make sure it's all correct and up to date. We do plan on getting more pets, but not when we're living in a 700 square foot, 1-bedroom apartment. And we do want to have kids in the future. What kids' names do y'all have picked out? We don't actually have any kids' names picked out, but if you guys know Blake, you know that he's kind of obsessed with the band Metallica, and he kind of has a heterosexual man crush on the lead singer, James Hetfield. I'm pretty much positive he would try to lobby for the name James simply because he loves that band member. And I don't know if I'm on board for naming a son after a Metallica member.
What's your opinion about the Isla Vista killings and how women are being blamed?
I think it's heartbreaking and I think it's really sad, and I don't think it's right to blame any specific group of human beings, whether it be sex or gender or race or religion. I think the only person you can blame is the killer himself. Obviously, he had some pretty messed up ideologies, but I don't think women should be blamed for what happened.
What is one thing that people would be surprised to know about you that they already don't know?
I have a severe hatred for tomatoes. I'm pretty much down to eat anything, and I'm kind of adventurous when it comes to eating food, but I cannot do tomatoes. I've tried so many times. It would just make my life so much easier if I liked them too, because then I wouldn't have to pick them off of burgers and stuff.
What are your future goals as far as school, career, and maybe a hobby or traveling?
I'm working toward my bachelor's in business management, and I should be getting that degree here pretty soon. I'm not sure what kind of career I'm shooting for. Mainly, I just want to be happy in whatever I do. I've seen too many people get stuck in a career that they hate and they start to work to live, and I would much rather live to work. I want to travel the world. I want to go to every single country ever. Like, ever. I want to go to every single country that's out there and just see everything.
Penguin Princess 5 asked, well, or just stated,
birth control! A little side history. I did the NuvaRing for a little bit. I did the pill for a little bit. I really hated how they made me feel. They made me feel really artificial and kind of killed my libido. So I decided that hormones were not for me. I went to the doctor and asked about the IUD because that sounded like the perfect solution for me. Copper IUD can last up to 10 years and it's non-hormonal, and it sounded like the perfect birth control. So I went and asked about it and she basically scared me off of it. I think I probably would have gotten it had I seen a different doctor, but this doctor in particular was very adamant about how I should not get that birth control because apparently I haven't been pregnant before and that's a huge issue. And I know now that after I did my research that that's kind of BS and I probably should have insisted that I get that birth control, but I don't even care about it anymore. So after leaving that doctor's appointment, I went down to my car and I cried for like a half an hour because I was like, I don't want to get pregnant for a little bit longer. There's no birth control that's non-hormonal and super effective. And so I thought I was a lost cause and I would be unhappy with my birth control options for the rest of my life. So I did a little bit of research and finally came across Lady Culp, which is a computer system pretty much that you just wake up and you take your temperature. It tells you your basal body temperature and whether or not you are okay to not use a barrier method of birth control for that day, or if you should probably do that. After reading about the Lady Culp, I decided to do a little bit more research on exactly how that worked, and I came across natural family planning. And natural family planning is basically being super meticulous about checking your ovulation signs in your own body and really getting to know your cycle. So I read the book Taking Charge of Your Fertility by Toni Weschler, which is a book that I recommend any human being with a uterus to read because it's super interesting. You don't have to be trying to get pregnant to read it. You don't have to be trying to prevent pregnancy to read it. It's just a really informative, interesting book that really gets way in depth on exactly how your reproductive system works. So I read that book and now I basically use the methods laid out in that book to prevent pregnancy. And the 3 basic ways you can check your personal fertility window when you're fertile is through checking your cervical fluid, the height of your cervix, and any other ovulation signs, whether it be your basal body temperature, sore boob, just tracking everything. It's been eye-opening because I get to know my body a little bit more, but I also don't get pregnant, so that's pretty sweet too. So we use natural family planning, and we also use that in conjunction with condoms when I am in my fertile phase because I don't want to get pregnant. What is the best thing about living in Washington? The funny thing about Washington is that it drizzles a lot. It's very, very drizzly and kind of misty a lot, but it never really rains, like super downpour rain. There are clouds in the sky 300 out of 365 days, so it's cloudy a lot, but that's what makes it so green and lush. I never thought I'd miss trees and fresh air until I moved away from home. Everybody recycles everything. Coffee's everywhere, and everybody makes really good coffee too. That's something I miss from home too. The weather is really, really mild. It doesn't get above like 80 to 85 degrees in the summertime, and it doesn't like to dip below 30 in the wintertime either. Nothing beats a Washington summer day when it's actually sunny and warm. It's beautiful. It's so nice. And this is all, I'm talking about Western Washington here too, because once you go over the mountains, over the Cascades, it gets kind of different. It takes you a while to get just about anywhere because a lot of times you have to take a boat to get somewhere cool. At least that's what I had to do. The only thing I'm really not a fan of back home is that everybody comes off as kind of cold when you first meet them. Nobody's really super welcoming. I know that once we moved to Las Vegas, it was weird because we would be like in the grocery store and people would start talking to you about anything. And we were so weirded out by that. We were like, yeah, these hash browns look really good. Back home, you kept to yourself. If you were waiting for a bus in Seattle and you're standing there with like a huge group of people, you don't talk to those people. You don't make friends with those people. Back home, people can seem kind of cold, but that's just how people are when you first meet them. We warm up really quick, I promise. When do you and Blake plan to have little Culps? 5 years minimum, hopefully. I want to do a lot of things before I have kids, including traveling a little bit more around the world. I want to be a little bit more financially stable before we have a family. If the Air Force gave you the option to move anywhere in the United States, but you couldn't go back home, where would you choose and why? Somewhere either near a beach or near a city. I'm actually pretty content we got stationed where we did. I don't know if I'd change it from here, actually. I hear really bad things about any other Air Force base in the United States, unless you're stationed overseas. If you're stationed overseas, that's awesome. How do you feel being so far away from your family? I kind of hate it. I hate being so far away from my family. I miss them every day, and I wish I could see them more often than I do now. What are your thoughts on marijuana and legalizing it? Have you ever tried it yourself? I have tried it a handful of times, and if I'm being totally honest, I wasn't exactly wowed by any of the times that I tried it. In fact, I got super paranoid and I was terrified of everything. But I am pro legalizing it simply because I think it's a great business opportunity for a lot of different people. Also, I'm kind of a science-minded individual and I would love to read more research on it. And it's really hard for research to really come out and show you the benefits or the really bad side effects that go along with marijuana because it's not legal, and so they can't really effectively research it, and I would love to read that research. So, do you practice any religion? If not, how do you feel about spirituality? I'm kind of a lazy Episcopalian. I went to church every Sunday when I was about 6 or 8 years old, my mom took me every Sunday with my brother, and we really did that every year until I turned about 13. And usually about 13, I think any 13-year-old really starts to hate waking up super early on Sundays, and so I stopped for a little bit. And then I opted in and went again with my mom starting about 16 or so, and I would do it almost every week. Sometimes I wouldn't go because I was tired. I still identify as an Episcopalian, but I'm kind of, like I said, I'm a lazy Episcopalian. I'm a lazy Christian.
Would you rather be locked in a cage with Rabid Monkey for a year or lick crunchy peanut butter off a hobo's foot?
Probably the peanut butter, only because it would only hurt for about a second and then I can throw it up or something. That's assuming this is like a giant monkey. If this is like a pygmy monkey that's like that big, I might reconsider.
What is one of the downfalls of being on YouTube?
Just negative comments or negative people. But that's really the biggest downfall there is. Those comments are really easy to ignore or just kind of like roll your eyes and laugh at. But I love it. I think it opens up a lot of opportunities and it's just kind of beneficial for all of us. I really love, especially the vlogs. I love recording our life because I'm a forgetful human being and I can go back and watch those memories because I know I'm gonna forget one day.
Is the milso life or military significant other life as hard as people say or think it is? How did you feel at the beginning of it all and has it changed since then?
Before Blake went away to basic, I was terrified, and I was terrified because nobody we had ever known had joined the military. We knew nothing about it. We knew nothing at all. And the huge unknown factor, I think, made it a lot scarier than it actually is. And obviously this is gonna vary depending on what branch and what job your significant other has. But Blake works an 8-hour job every day and he comes home every day and he doesn't work crazy weird hours. It's really not that scary, especially now that we've experienced it. We haven't been through deployment, so that could totally change my opinion. As of right now, it really isn't that scary or that bad. And if I had to give any advice whatsoever, it would be to just don't panic. It's not that bad. I think we have kind of this idea in our head of how military life is supposed to be based off of either books or movies or whatever. My life is not like a movie at all. And I think you'd recognize that if you watch the vlogs too, because I think we live a pretty normal life.
Did you and Blake ever fight while he was in tech school? If so, how did you handle it?
So Blake and I are kind of a weird couple in the sense that we don't really fight that much at all. I think we both have really non-combative personalities. We don't even really argue that much, honestly. If I'm upset about something, I'm really good about sitting down and being like, Blake, listen, I'm really upset that XYZ happened. I really think we could change this by doing XYZ. Especially with the distance, we were really pretty good about being open and honest with each other about what was going on in our heads. Distance is really good for that in the sense that you have to get to know this person, you have to get close to this person with your head and not with your body and not seeing them in person and not chickening out when you see them because you're talking to them face to face. You have to actually, call them on the phone and be like, hey, Blake, I'm feeling jealous because I'm not a huge fan of a chick in your class or something like that. I don't know. We don't scream at each other. We just sit down and speak very, very calmly about what we're feeling and why we're feeling that way and how we can maybe move forward from that.
When do you want to become a mommy? What are your feelings toward becoming one? Have you discussed this yet with Blake? And what's his feelings on becoming a father and starting a family?
Never marry somebody without discussing this, because if you marry somebody and their wants on having a family are completely incompatible with yours, one of you is going to end up resenting the other one. Yes, we've talked about this. We talked about this before we got married. And we're both on board with starting a family in our future. I really want to become a mom. I think if you watched our live chat, this topic actually came up and somebody asked Blake, what do you feel about becoming a dad? And he's like, no. Not yet. He's totally not ready to be a dad, and that's okay because he's only 20 years old.
Are you partnered with YouTube?
Yes, I am, and I actually wanted to clear that up because I see people talk about this on YouTube, and I think people don't understand that literally anybody can partner with YouTube. There used to be a huge application process, and it was a lot more choosy than it is now, but now anybody can make videos, anybody can monetize them, and anybody can have ads show on their videos.
Does Blake have a YouTube channel?
He does, but I don't even know what it's called.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
I would love to experience Europe. Germany or Italy or England or Spain or really anywhere in Europe I would love to live and just kind of experience a totally different culture than my own for a little bit. Favorite movie? My favorite movie is The Illusionist. How tall are you? I am 5'3".
Do you get along with Blake's family?
I do get along with Blake's family, and he gets along with mine too. My husband and I are currently living in Italy right now. Do you hope that Blake ever gets stationed out of the country, or would you rather stay in the United States? This kind of sad thing about his job right now is that there are only 3 bases we have the option of being stationed at: Las Vegas, Holloman, or Cannon, and all of those are in the southwestern United States. We do want to be stationed overseas, but it's not even an option with his job. So he's actually been thinking about wanting to cross-train, which basically just means he'd be switching his job. I don't even think he's eligible to do that for quite a little while, so we could be waiting a little bit until we get stationed overseas.
Have you found it hard to make new friends?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, making new friends in a new place is quite tough to do, especially when the community, especially in Las Vegas, is so transient and everybody moves around so much.
I was wondering what kind of jobs there are on base or outside of base for military wives.
Bases usually have a pretty good kind of resources for military wives to get jobs, but it is pretty dependent on where that base is. I know that Nellis has like a program that helps military wives get jobs, whether they be on base or off base, but you can work at like the commissary and the BX and all of the available like amenities that are on the base, which is kind of nice, but you can also work off base too.
What's something you do that drives him crazy?
Sing really obnoxiously in the car.
Have you thought about making a fan Facebook or whatever it's called?
Haha. I've totally thought about making a Facebook for like YouTube channels and stuff, but I haven't actually decided if that's something I want to do. Because I'm already on Twitter and I'm already on Instagram and you guys can always find me on there, but I haven't made a Facebook. So if that's something you want, you should let me know. All right, so that is all the questions we have. I'm so happy you guys asked a ton of questions. It's kind of nice to get all of this out of the way, especially if you are a new viewer. I'm thinking about maybe doing this once a month, so if new people come along and new people have questions, or if you guys come up with new questions that you want me to answer, I can have them all in one video so you guys can all watch that. As always, check out the description bar below for all important links and social media links where you can find me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and stay tuned for more. Bye!